Well, the government providing financial aid for small businesses, and the Small Business Administration is contacting 37 Planned Parenthood affiliates who applied for and got $80 million in loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. That's according to Fox News, which also says the federal government now wants that money back. The SBA says the affiliates should have known they were not eligible for the relief money. Joining us now is Abby Johnson, who once ran a large Planned Parenthood clinic in Texas and is now a pro-life advocate. Abby, thanks for being with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Abby, what do you make of all this? Do you think the clinics knew they weren't eligible? Will they have to give the money back?
They absolutely should have to give the money back. I think that they had to know. This is just Planned Parenthood has a long history of taking money when they shouldn't. They have a long history of defrauding the government. This is just another strike in Planned Parenthood's long list of shady practices, particularly shady practices that they have employed during this pandemic.
Abby, from what you've seen, is Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry struggling since the pandemic started?
I mean, not that we have really seen. I think that they are giving the appearance that they are, but we don't have any reason to believe that they are struggling in the least. I mean, look at what's taking place. They've got a big regional affiliate raised over $700,000 at a virtual luncheon just a few weeks ago. The Price is Right had a fundraiser for Planned Parenthood, raised almost $100,000. They don't even need taxpayer funding at this point because they are so well funded by private donors.
That's amazing. Well, during this pandemic, what efforts are still being made toward the fight for life?
Pregnancy centers have been on the front lines, continuing to stay open when possible. They are providing as much care as they can, doors open. There have been people still on the front lines in front of abortion facilities. Many of these sidewalk advocates are saying, hey, if abortion is deemed essential, then we are also essential. We are going to continue to stand out here and save lives. So the pro-life movement is still fighting. We are still active. We are still doing everything we can to save lives on the front line.
Abby, in the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of discussion about Norma McCorveys, the Roe versus Wade, saying she had a confession prior to her death that her conversion to Christianity was just an act. Have you heard about this? What can you tell us?
Norma, I didn't know Norma. I wish I would have known her. I only spoke to her one time before her death, and it was literally days before her death. And Norma was a very fragile person, a very vulnerable person throughout her life. She carried a tremendous burden, a self-imposed burden, 60 million babies that she felt like she was responsible for. And one thing I know to be true is that her 22 years in the pro-life movement of dedicating herself to overturning a law that bore her name was very sincere, and it was very real. And what I do know is that the abortion industry manipulated her when she was young into being Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade, and I believe that they manipulated her in the very last year of her life. And what I saw in the final days of her life when I spoke to her on the phone was a woman who was contrite. She was repentant. She was tormented by what she had allowed the abortion industry to coerce her into doing. And I believe that she absolutely died a woman who was pro-life. And I know that the abortion industry lies. And I do not believe for 1 second that Norma McCorvey was anything but a pro-life person at the moment of her death.
Abby Johnson, thank you so much for sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.